I want you to pay very close attention to yourself. I want you to really apply as much awareness to yourself right now as you possibly can. Really just observe your thoughts. Feel the sensations occurring in your body. Release your resistance to the present experience and just really ground yourself in it. And I want you to pay attention to how you were not doing this until I told you to. All this stuff was the exact opposite of what you were doing until I brought it to the forefront of your awareness. You were probably lost in thoughts, scrolling the YouTube feed, thinking about how you have to go to work tomorrow or what the kids are up to or how you're hungry or you're bored. You weren't really aware of your body and the sensations. You probably weren't very aware of your breath. You were probably mildly struggling and resisting against the present experience. And in this video, I want to show you the lack of awareness that human beings actually have. From one point of view of what life is and what the point of it is, we can say it's to awaken to our true nature, to what reality is, to become conscious of the existence of whatever this is, whatever that might be, to become conscious of reality. And humans remain stuck in a dreamlike state. That's why spiritual awakening is called awakening, almost like you're waking up from a dream. We remain stuck within our own unconscious tendencies until something triggers us to wake up. A person in a video, a lot of suffering, whatever that trigger is, whatever that entry point is. And unless you really become conscious of these things going on inside of you, all these unconscious dynamics, they control 95% of your life. And unless you become aware of them, your entire life is going to be dictated by these forces. So I want you to really notice how in your everyday life, you're not applying attention to yourself. You're not applying conscious awareness to yourself. What's going on is that your thoughts are kind of just on autopilot and they're controlling you in a machine-like way. You're not engaging with reality in a very conscious way whatsoever. You're acting on autopilot. And I want to point out these words right here that I just used of machine and autopilot, because this is really what your life is. And it's a pretty brutal thing to swallow, but it's what's true. It's true that you're habitually lost in nothing but thoughts. You're never very grounded in the present experience. You're usually resisting it. And you're not very aware of your sensations or your breath. And that you don't really apply much attention to the present moment. You're not very conscious of existence. Got to battle some of these mosquitoes. And the reason why this is a problem is because a lot of these patterns are completely dysfunctional. They don't actually help us in any way whatsoever. In fact, they're unsustainable, wasteful, draining our energy, unhealthy. I'll just leave it at that. And as your life progresses, you'll notice that it's the same the same things occurring over and over again. It's just that life is occurring, you're not applying any awareness to it, and you're just allowing it to continuously pass you by. You're not really grounded in the experience. The same set of beliefs control you. The same circumstances control you. The same thoughts arise in your head. The same avoidance mechanisms make you unconsciously just, run away. And you're just kind of living life on autopilot. You're living life in this sort of trance-like state, almost. In this sort of, I don't want to say state of hypnosis, but just state of overall unconsciousness. And the years just kind of pass on by. And before you know it, you're retired or you're old and then you die. And this is kind of just the reality of most human beings. Right? There's levels of consciousness, there's levels of awareness, and the average person is at a pretty low level of consciousness. They apply basically no of their conscious awareness to existence whatsoever, to themselves. And if you've been doing this kind of consciousness work for a little while, you're probably at, above average. But if you're really honest with yourself, it's probably still not very much. Right? Unless you've been doing a lot of retreats and various psychotherapeutic practices and some other methods, we'll get into them in a different video, your consciousness is low. Because if I ask you to, just observe yourself in your everyday life and say, are you aware of yourself? Are you conscious? Are you grounded in yourself? Are you aware of your thoughts, your feelings? Are you present in the experience? The answer is no. Your mind can say it's a yes, but it's a no, because what your mind does is it actually tricks you. Your mind forms a thought, it forms a memory of what's going on, and that thought is just a momentary, happening. That thought is just a sort of very momentary experience, and then it passes. And then you just believe in that thought. You say, oh, that thought was true, right? I know it. I was aware yesterday at 2 p.m. when I was at work, but you weren't. Your mind just concocts a story and you buy into it. And your actual direct experience is something very different from the story that your mind has constructed. So what am I really pointing to in this video? I'm pointing to the actual depth of your unconsciousness. It's that 95 to 99% of the time, you're not conscious. It's just all these subconscious things, just avoidance patterns, the avoidance of emotional pain, craving your needs, trying to just get sex and tasty food and money and pleasure. There's nothing wrong with all those things. It's just that your unconsciousness controls you. And then your unconsciousness fools you into thinking that it doesn't control you. And to even admit that your unconsciousness controls you is already a difficult thing to do. The reality is that you have little to no control over your life whatsoever. Because the majority of what's going on inside of you is completely out of your control. It's completely out of your awareness. So therefore, you can't change any of it. You were born into a set of circumstances. That set of circumstances and the environment conditioned you very deeply, as well as evolutionary programming and certain things that are kind of just coded into the human being. And then you just picked up a bunch of conditioning. You formed a sense of self out of it. And then you just kind of went on with your life. This set of conditioning just perpetuated itself up until this point. And now I'm saying, hey, look at that conditioning. Look at those beliefs that control you. Look at those thoughts that control you. Look at how unaware of your thoughts you are moment by moment. Oh my God, the mosquitoes just coming after me right now. Look at the emotions that you avoid. Look at all of these inner dynamics that you apply little to no awareness of that have so much control over your life, that actually dictate your entire life. Right? And to even admit that you have little to no control of your life, that's not an easy thing. But it's the truth. And it's a brutal one if you are really attached to the idea of you having control. And this isn't a depressing thing in the sense that you cannot change your life in any way whatsoever. I just mean that the things right now that are dictating what's happening in your life are completely out of your consciousness and you apply no awareness to them and they're controlling you. It's that what's in control right now is not your genuine self. It's not your most conscious self. It's very animalistic parts, very unconscious parts, in a lot of cases just wounded parts. Oh my God. These mosquitoes, man. And that you can actually undo this. Right? You can actually change this stuff. The problem is that so much of your life is structured around the avoidance of this stuff. Most of your diet, sugary foods and eating an insane amount of junk food and over consuming fish and meat and all this stuff. Eating foods that just make you heavy rather than foods that your body actually needs to survive, that are just extremely nutritious. Most of the food that we eat is for entertainment, not for nutrition. Right? So much of your life is just built on avoidance, chasing pleasure. Your career, a lot of your relationships are just distractions as well. Right? From one point of view, I'm saying they're distractions. I'm not, this is just one point of view. And that to really become conscious, you actually have to shape up. You have to really, look into your lifestyle. You have to completely shape up your life from the ground up, because if, the older you get, really the harder this becomes, because you build your life on your own unconsciousness. You build your career and your relationships on your own unconsciousness. And then this conditioning perpetuates itself. It seeks to survive like a freaking animal, like a beast. All of society is really predicated upon the avoidance of pain and just avoidance and distraction, our entertainment, so much of our fashion. This is just what's going on at such a large scale. It's just just these unintelligent systems and patterns of behavior just dictating the majority of what we do. I said dictating the majority of what we do. Sorry, I'm battling a swarm of mosquitoes right now. So you can change all of this, and it really starts with honesty. Just recognizing what's true. You have no control in your life whatsoever because you don't apply awareness to it. Right? That's step one. Right? Really, if you look at your relationships and your career and so much of the stuff you chase, a lot of that's just fueled by childhood wounds and unconscious emotions and the avoidance of pain and just desperation to just survive. Right? And the more honest you are about all these brutal parts about you, the easier it is to clean them up, because now you're seeing them clearly. Whereas before you can avoid them and then talk about, spirituality and we're all love and light. But in actuality, if we look at the wiring of your consciousness, it's just incredibly influenced by fear. So you got to be very honest about this stuff, right? You're not going to get enlightened by lying to yourself and by just saying love and light, love and light, love and light. You're going to get enlightened through radical honesty and non-avoidance. Through truth. Because enlightenment is the truth. You can change this stuff by actually cultivating a daily meditation practice, learning to sustain attention on yourself. Because you don't sustain attention on yourself almost whatsoever. It's captured by the mosquitoes that are pesking at your ear as you record a YouTube video, or thinking about, making an email. What do you have to do for work? All this stuff. What are you going to make for dinner? Thinking about things, doing things. You can't really be present. You can't just sit there and apply awareness to yourself. You start to go insane when you do. Just be honest. If you sat in one place and just applied awareness to yourself for 2 hours straight, first of all, you'll fail. You'll get distracted by a thought or a sensation, or you'll be pulled out of it. You're going to start getting identified with your mind. You'll get pulled out of it. And then you'll return over and over again, and it'll be this kind of battle going back and forth. But if you were to sit there for 2 hours and apply awareness to yourself, it'll probably start to drive most of you nuts. So much pain exists inside of you that you're not even conscious of, and you're repressing, right? Your daily habits and daily patterns are just keeping this pain repressed, that if you were to sit still for 2 hours and just drill yourself with conscious awareness, pain will start to come up. Because a lot of the emotional pain that happens to you in your life doesn't go anywhere, it gets stored inside of you. Right? That's why meditation retreats are so powerful, because it's a break from your ordinary life, and you're just applying consciousness to yourself for days on end. This is how you actually remove a lot of that emotional, energetic, gunk that exists inside of you, and it really is that. It's just disgusting, actually. And then, purify your being, right? By purify your being, I just mean allow awareness to truly enter your being. Right? Psychotherapy is a good method. Coaching's good. There's so many possible methods for becoming conscious. But meditation is just one of those sort of fundamental ones, because what is meditation, right? Meditation is just applying awareness to yourself. It's just observation of direct experience. That's what becoming conscious is. It's just sitting here, being present, right? And observing direct experience. My God. There is no becoming conscious without meditation. Right? There is no becoming conscious without sitting here and applying awareness to yourself, which is the essence of meditation. So take this stuff seriously. When you go off of this video, right, when you go back to your ordinary life, notice how asleep you are. Notice that you are dreaming. You're stuck in this like unconscious dream, in just this like trance-like hypnotic state to your own unconsciousness. It's just controlling you, and you don't know how to get out of it. And that's why I said spiritual awakening is like you're awakening from the dream. You're awakening from the dream of being the ego, being all this unconscious stuff. It's like you're awakening from the illusion of the dream that your mind constructs. Right? You're waking up to the true nature of yourself, of reality. And really have the guts to admit to yourself that, yeah, you don't have any real control over your life. That what you perceive to be control is just such a small fraction of you, usually just forcing itself upon reality, which is actually just your own unconsciousness. Once again, it's just more unconscious conditioning that creates this like strong sense of illusion of control. Which once again isn't to be interpreted in this way of like it's very depressing and I can't do anything to change my life or anything like that. That's not what I'm actually saying. But it's just that you forcing your will onto reality. This is such an illusion. That the you that you believe is in control of all these things, first of all, isn't even real. There is no actual self that exists inside of you. There is no ego. There is no identity. Second of all, it's just a series of unconscious conditioning perpetuating itself so that it can continue surviving into the future. Because like I said, your unconscious conditioning is like a beast. It actually like feeds off of your energy and wants to continue surviving. And you can verify everything that I'm saying in this video to be 100% true through having a very sincere heart and actually engaging in spiritual practices like meditation, vipassana, self-inquiry, doing meditation retreats, reading some psychology. Right? My God, way too many mosquitoes. I gotta get going. That's it for this video. You can apply for one-to-one coaching. Link is in the pinned comment. Take it easy.